Hi, I'm Michael Meredith. I'd like to explain to you about this solar machine I've been working on since 1977, essentially, when I went to the patent office for the first time for a really great idea of a mirrored plastic mirror. And basically what I've got real interested in lately is the economics. Like, for example, am I wasting my time? so the solar cells, for example, are now cheaper. This is February 2018. Solar cells are cheaper than new conventional electrical installations, especially like in the Middle East. You look at what's going on. China decided 15, 20 years ago to pop out solar cells real cheap. And now they're really cheap. So this kind of device, which is called solar thermal, and you're looking at a mirror, this would be called a mosaic parabolic dish mirror. The economics now on this changes because the solar cells compete with this also. So a lot of these companies are going out of business. Now, what I think, personally, in the larger installations, because I've covered why a lot of these designs aren't going to work in smaller installations. For larger installations, and if you look up foamy cement, you'll find that it's pretty incredible stuff. It's used all over the world. You basically just make the shaving cream kind of stuff, put it into your concrete mix, and you end up with insulation and a building material at the same time. I mean, it's truly remarkable. I honestly got no idea why here in the United States, where I live, people don't do that. I mean, it's completely beyond me. But I believe that could be applied to the dish mirror. Let's get a look at the edge. The edge, there we go. Dish mirror, see, that's very thin. This is made out of fiber cement. That's another way to go. Fiber cement is something that's really big in construction. And I had this made right at the factory. Made a dish out of the fiber cement. You can see it as hardy board in the United States. It's used as roofing in most places in the world. In the U.S. we lag behind a lot of things that other people do, which is truly surprising. So what I'm thinking is that the foamy cement, because it can be made as reinforced cement and a dish, I would use a dish of a deeper profile than this, because dishes and domes are extremely strong, and then you're going to have some solar thermal. Now the other problem and the other practical application for this device is a solar tracker for photovoltaics. So now the photovoltaics are now so cheap that you gotta have a pretty cheap device. Now you can see this machine is pretty simple. What we got is a curved bar that drives it, and then it's sitting right on top of a U-joint. This is, of course, a very small model. That's a very small U-joint. So for PV, you're going to require a mounting platform anyway. So the question is whether this additional cost of the tracking mechanism, which is very inexpensive, this is the cheapest one I've ever seen. It's home buildable. It can be built by anyone in the world with very commonly available materials. So you can see here we are using a bike chain and a bike sprocket as the drive. That's not expensive. There's other ways of doing it. I recently invented the rope drive, reinvented the rope drive. It was pretty remarkable. After so many years of working on the rope drive, finally got it. I was just truly amazed that idea came to me. So I think that using the thin steel tubing method that I've come up with, and you saw in the other videos for PV mounting, I think that will end up being economical, simply because you need some way to mount the panels, And I think all the panels can be screwed together in a staggered fashion, and you're going to gain the strength of the panel frame itself, which is substantial. I mean, that molded aluminum is incredibly strong. So anyway, what I'd like to show you is, where is that receiver? Here is the receiver. That is where the steam would go, and that should be up in front of the mirror, but I don't have it there. Here is a book I wrote a long time ago that shows the tracker, and this shows a focusing thing. This is a back focusing kind of a thing where I used conventional solar panels. They were 1 foot by 4 foot at the time. They've gotten bigger, which is a good idea. That was 2 of them. I bought pretty dirt cheap way back when, and I honestly don't know what happened to those panels when I left Ojai, California in 1984 or so. Probably left it all behind. Who knows? Anyway, so this book was written a long time ago. This shows how to make one of the stands. And the other stand was out of plywood, the big one. And now, this is the central pivot. It will have a U-joint, typical automotive U-joint, at the apex. That'll be right here. It'll be a U-joint, and this is showing how to build it. Here's a nice picture of a U-joint, and it's built in. So the part that supports the weight, which is a big problem, especially when you're going to get into concrete, is cheap, very cheap. You can make it in half a day, and you can spend, I don't know if it's even $40 for all that 3/8 steel for a really big one. I mean, because, you know, about the same amount of work for a big one as a small one. This shows one of the early collectors. You can see that it has the detached mosaic kind of dish formation. It's making steam, kind of was just to show people. And then this photo, unfortunately, did not come out too good, and that's right. DE303 means Dragon's Eye 303, which means that this is somewhere in the neighborhood of 303 models. I think I did closer to 2,000 or 8,000 actual experiments, and I mean real experiments where you don't know what's going to happen, and who knows how many tens of thousands of ideas that never got built. This shows another way of making a receiver for hot air, and hot air and high temperature thermochemicals are a very good way to go with this kind of a machine. This is a photovoltaic receiver. That's another good way to go. And this shows the mirror clip for this style. Again, I think it's a lot of work, and if you want a home model for health, which is what I'm doing, and if I can conquer the beast of putting the prism at the top so you can have an art piece in real color, then it certainly is more home buildable than trying to make a foamy cement dish. So this is some of the ideas that I had at the time, and I was working with a wood mirror frame. So when I write the book and sell the book, I'm going to just copy this whole thing. That was a neat idea for parades, having a solar powered hot tub. Pretty cool. And then here was a shower design. And here's a picture of actually an embroiler. It's made out of a large umbrella, has reflective foil glued to it. And they were marketed on, I think, back in the 50s, sell hot dog and stuff. This here is the Solar Zeppelin. And we got a better picture of it here, I think. And there's a description of it, but you can see the mirrors inside of a transparent Zeppelin. This I did invent, but then found out that Robert Goddard, the modern rocket science, also had the idea. I read that in a book somewhere after I got the idea, I think. That's hard to tell which ideas are original and which ones you read and sort of forgot about and you thought the idea was original. I have no idea. anyway, I spent endless hours making these drawings. It was a lot of fun. I just loved it. Okay, anyway, and then I described why you might want to believe in dragons. And this, I read this book about dragons, and see, for example, dragons loved golden gemstones. That's in all the old books, and this explains why. Anyway, that was kind of funny, kind of interesting. Here is a solar installation back in the 80s. Here's a description of how solar energy works. And so this book will, again, be in the book that I'm writing about how to. So the questions that I have is, of course, you know, is it economical? So therefore, is anyone going to want to buy the book? Why would they want to buy the book? Well, if you're going to buy PV, you got to mount it somewhere. If you can make your own platform in less than a day, and it's going to not only mount your PV, which was going to take you some time anyway, maybe cost less, because instead of buying some kind of kit, you can go out and buy thin tubing at your electrical supply or your hardware store. It quite possibly will be very, very economical. That's the idea. So I, again, you know, I'm kickstarting this project after about 20 years of not doing it, because I think it's time. I think the world is ready for it. The alternative energy has like come of age. You could say it's actually cheaper than installing nuclear or anything else. And this, I was marketing them as a kaleidoscope mirror. I actually got kind of close to selling them as a kind of a toy and decorator item. Then I kind of gave up on it. So any of you guys out there that have access to a fiber cement factory, just build yourself some parabolic molds, go to the fiber cement factory, get some fiber cement, make yourself some kaleidoscope mirrors, see if they sell. You could do it in fiberglass too, that costs a lot more. I honestly think the fiber cement and the foamy cement is going to cost a lot less. And then there's a booming microwave antenna industry you could certainly tap into, because it's essentially the same thing. You're reflecting electromagnetic radiation. You can see it's real pretty. So that's why I set up in here in the living room instead of my bedroom. Sorry if I've been boring you for 13 minutes, and I hope you guys are happy. I will talk to you again. Bye-bye.